And I'm assuming it'll, everybody here as they come on, it should mute as they come on. We'll watch that closely. But first of all, I just wanted to welcome everybody to number 6 of our 100% Better in Wealth with our leadership segment. It's a segment that I love personally myself. I have found that it is the number one thing that I actually focused on in my business when I very first started in the network marketing industry is leadership. Even though I wasn't a leader yet, all I knew is that my role in the company, whether it was part-time, full-time, or big time, it was about learning leadership. So it's a fabulous topic, and it's a topic that I know everybody here on has read about, learned about, and loves about. So I just want to say a little bit about myself personally, that putting this together with Manfred and Zavana, it was really an amazing project working together where we got to have the insight and the people that have influenced us. So we came up with, you know, some really key elements and points that we really wanted to share with everybody. And so in a really nice, soft and simple way, we will share with you guys what we have shared along the way. So I guess really number one is we start and talk about the qualities of a leader. And one of the nice things about when we talk about the qualities of a leader is there are so many fabulous qualities that we know what it takes. And as an exercise that I had done is and I share with you guys to do this exercise, is think of 3 powerful leaders that you look up to and you absolutely admire. And when you actually have the time, I want you to actually write 10 qualities of that specific leader that you admire about them. And where the exercise takes you is the fact that out of those 10 qualities that you've actually put in there, you will find a common thread in the qualities that you are attracted to, and you'll probably even find that you have the same qualities. But what you'll also discover is maybe some qualities that you personally want to work on. And this business is about personal development, personal growth, and not changing everything, but sometimes it's just tweaking 1 or 2 things about yourself, and that you're consistently learning new things. So that's a really great exercise. But what I share in that is we can all right now, if we were in a facilitated forum, I could have every one of you giving me what you think the qualities of a leader is. And we could have this big billboard with all kinds of fantastic qualities. Well, we all come to the table with strengths and we all come to the table with weaknesses. But did you know what the number 1 quality to leadership actually is? And it's interesting because it's not my nature. The number 1 quality happens to be is patience. And so you can imagine if it's not your nature to be a patient person, and this industry is driven to be all about patience, you can see the opportunity that you have in nurturing that specific quality. So for whatever quality that you need to personally work on, and if patience is one of them, I know every one of you can do that. And so that is something that takes time. We have to learn to be patient with ourselves. We need to learn to be patient with our customers, our distributors, as well as our leaders, because this business is all about helping and being of service to other people. So when you can learn to be patient with them, but always still meeting them where they're at, but always continuing to empower and educate, and that's what's going to take them to the next steps, to where helping them achieve their dreams and goals. So in that qualities, the next thing is understanding your role. And we talk about roles and responsibilities. So when we talk about your role, we talk about with everyone that you're always working with, no matter whether it's a customer, distributor, we're working on your roles are, whether you are a coach, whether you are a cheerleader, and whether you are a fan. Now you, as your role, is all 3 of those. But it's help understanding that who you're working with is what role do you reckon that you need to work with them on, because you're going to have people that just need you to be a great fan of theirs and everything that they do fabulous and positive and great, that you're there to help cheer them on along the way. Being a cheerleader, as I said, on all the good things that they're doing, watching them in the distance, taking notice of things. And those that are actually a leadership, that you become a coach, or people who genuinely want to go from here to there. So when you understand your role and how you're working with specific people in your tribe that you're trying to grow, That's a really big importance to understand. So that comes onto your roles. So the other thing is having mentors yourself personally. And so I'm just going to be throwing out some mentors of mine, people that I have followed. But Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, he's a really great, fantastic person that I actually follow on YouTube because I just like the way he speaks and he talks. But he talks about leadership is not about being in charge. It's about caring for those you are in charge of. And so when you care enough and you pay attention to enough, you will know what their needs are, whether they need a coach or whether they need a cheerleader or whether they need a fan. So now we all have, as I talked about, our three different customers, distributors, and leaders. And we talk about every customer you have, there's like three categories. There's an A customer, a B customer, and a C customer. You also have in your distributors, you have A distributors, B distributors, and C distributors. And as well as your leaders, you have A, Bs, and Cs. And so when you understand where they sit in the A, B, C, and Cs, it'll help you again on how to actually work with that person, that specific person, and what, again, your responsibilities are with working with them. So let me just give you a little bit of insight on customers. So what is an actual A customer? An A customer would be a brand new customer that needs attention, a lot of attention to help see where they're at. Sharing with their friends. So they're the new customer and sharing with their friends. Also, an A customer is someone that just you're generally working with to get results. So you may have a customer from a long time ago that was just ordered ever so often, which is a C customer. But sometimes they move up into being that they now want to come to you and they want results. So again, they become someone that you have a lot more time and attention with. A B customer would just be someone who orders consistently. They don't need a lot of help or support. You may just check in every so often. Again, you're maybe their biggest fan. But again, they're not someone who requires a lot of attention. And we love all our B customers. But we need A customers that evolve into B customers, and as well what our C customers, again, that order every so often, keeping in touch, because we want to eventually, hopefully, we've empowered or inspired them to move into a B or an A customer. So when you look at your customers, so my challenge and action activity for you is to take 10 of your customers and just see what category you would actually position them in, and then you know what your call to action would be with that customer. And this really helps on if you actually took all of your customers, or however many you decide to start working with, and put them into those three categories, then again, you could put them into your planning and preparing on your diary on when to call and how to call, and create a system on working with your customers with the ABC approach. Now, it works the same way with distributors. With distributors, an A distributor would be an actual distributor who's actually working towards leadership, working towards 1-star, 2-star. That happens to be a distributor that you would spend more time with on getting results and action. There's someone that you, again, would be coaching. So a B distributor would be someone who they attend events and they're on the Zooms, they love the product, but they would only recruit if it was easy and if it came to them. Whereas an A distributor want to learn the skills and develop the skills of recruiting. And then what you have as a C distributor is just someone who's genuinely just in it for the discount. They may talk to their customer, to people, but they'll only take the order if the order comes to them easy. They just may be a distributor who places orders every so often. Again, you love them all equally. They're a biggest fan, but the goal is to get them into being a B distributor, and most importantly, what we call an A distributor, somebody who's actively engaging and educating, enrolling, as well as empowering people. So that's distributor. And so you can see how the common thread is in here, because as our leaders, as you develop leaders in this business, it works the same way. An A leader is someone that you're actually coaching to reach for the stars and qualify for the cars. Okay, so they're moving up the ranks, and again, you're working with them quite closely, and again, time and attention. They're the people you give your time and attention. Imagine giving your time and attention to a C leader, someone who may rank once, They do their business, again, whenever it's easy. They may be, consistently on the products, but again, would you give all your time to that C leader or customer or distributor? And what a B leader would be is just someone who just maintains, they attend meetings, and they may qualify 1 month as a leader or not, so it happens another meter, but you get to see them, they're involved, but they're not necessarily engaging with you on setting the goals and reaching for the next level. All right, so right now, again, I would love for you guys, wherever you are in your business, if you have your customers, to do the ABC. If you have distributors in your business, decide what categories they are, and as well for those of you that have leaders in this business, again, go through the ABCs with them, and that'll give you an idea of action on working with them and your responsibilities. Now, what really is your responsibility is where your focus is, and your responsibility is to always be focusing on new customers, new distributors, new leaders, and at the end of the day, new growth, yourself personally and your new growth in your business. When you focus your energy into new, everybody else will just work through the A, B, and C with that. And so I ask yourself today and every day, when you do your monthly goals, or when you do weekly goals, quarterly goals, annual goals, the goals you're setting for yourself is the new business. How many new customers you want, how many new distributors, new leaders, and that is going to help you, again, achieve the goals that you personally want. So now you can see why our 300 Club is always focused on new customers. Again, it keeps the focus on the new business. But again, we're always working on how we can work with all of our business. So I would say to you, 80% of your time should be focusing on the new. And so that's up to you, but you get to decide how much time you're going to focus on new business, how much time you're going to focus on working with the A customers, the A business, the B business, and the C business. So again, your A business is the new. Because leaders in yourself need to be visible. You need to be accessible, approachable, and never stop learning. And so those of you that love Richard Branson, I love following his quotes, his memes. I've read his books as well on leadership. He truly leads from the front, and he makes his people number one. And so I know that every one of you guys on this call, that's a major focus of yours. But coming down to you as your responsibility is I call it the fundamental four, okay? The fundamental four is about your self-awareness, you as a communicator, how you communicate, how you become influential, and what your learning agility is, okay? So self-awareness is understanding, again, yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, the gaps in between, the skills. When you rate yourself on all the things you need to be really good on a 1 to 10, what do you need to do to work towards being a 10 in all the different skills that are needed for you to achieve? Your communication, again, is a constant work in progress, being able to write clearly, speak clearly, with clarity, and being always an active listener with learning and listening. Again, that one goes back, really comes into the PhD in social skills that we shared with everybody. But the fundamental four is influence. Communicating your wisdom, aligning your efforts with others, and building commitment at all levels. And your influence is only going to be more empowered and powerful by you and your doing. Now, I recently read some John Maxwell, and John Maxwell talks about 5 levels of leadership. In other words, the 5 different levels, maybe the levels of leadership you may evolve in, or let's just say people that have a leadership level just because it's a title, it's a right. So that's a level 1. That means they got that position because they were hired for that position, but really at the end of the day, people follow them because they have to, okay? But a level 2 leader is called permission. That one's about relationships. People follow you because they want to. And a level 3 is production. That means it's a leader that gets results. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization, for the team, for those around you. Then there's a level 4, and that's people development. So that means reproduction. So when you be able to, start reproducing new people in your business, people follow you because of what you have done for them. And then there comes the level 5 leader, the pinnacle. Isn't it interesting? We have 5-star, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. And I like this because our 5-star pinnacle leader is the one with respect. People follow you because of who you are and what you actually represent. And so the reason why I wanted to share that with you guys is because that's becoming a leader of influence. And when you become a leader of influence, you become attractive. And the more attractive you are, the more people you're going to attract. You become a money magnet, a people magnet, and so you become a leader of influence. And so then to become a leader of influence, it really is, again, coming to your learning. Being in learning mode all the time, your values, and seeking out and learning lessons of experience. That's what people want to see. They don't want to always see you shining. They want to see how you fell and got back up. And so how do you do that without taking the opportunity of being a learner? And so moving in there is now moves on to, well, what kind of learner are you? Not only you, but the people that are working with you, that you're actually coaching, understanding the kind of learner that they are. And so the kind of leader, so we need to know that, and talking about you guys being visual, audio, or kinetics. So we all learn different ways. So whether you learn by reading, maybe you learn by listening, maybe you learn by watching, or most important, maybe you learn by doing. Some of us need it all. So I do. I love to read, so I do read. But I also love to listen to the podcasts. I learn so much in watching the YouTube clips. But I have learned the most by going and attaching myself to those that are doing what I wanted to learn to do and do it with them. Watch them and then do it with them, and then have them with me, watching me, and help critiquing me. Not even the word critique, commending and recommending. When you get into the mode of commend and recommend, that becomes the best learning mode you'll ever learn. So that means you becoming a leader, that when you work with someone, they're actually coaching someone, you commend them on what they did great, but then you can also recommend on what they can do differently to improve on those skill sets and levels. And when you have a mentor and you ask for that transparency and accountability for people to commend and recommend to you. So I don't use the word critique in my business. I use the word commend and recommend. So again, coming back to what type of learner you are, what are you doing to read, to listen, to watch, in the doing, so you're constantly evolving. Because the only way you're going to lead is by learning. And the lead that you need to be doing is leading by duplication. And this is the key element. It's one of the big pieces of this puzzle, is the leadership is being duplicatable. And so I'm just going to talk about the simple ease of duplication. I talk about a lot, and you'll see everybody was talking about events and everyday networking. What are you doing to engage? Whether it's events and everyday networking. Where are you putting your time? We talk about DIB and DIM. DIB being D-I-B-B, does it build your business? And DIM being, does it make me money? You want to constantly be being in both sets of places to build your business, because you need to build business, but you also need money at making activities, but you also need to be focusing on building and going big, going great. So doing that is, again, on your skill set levels. Take a scale. This is where you take the scale of 1 to 10 for each one of these. On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself on how you engage with people? Again, engaging with people on everyday networking, online or offline, or at events. Scale of 1 to 10 on you as how you educate people on your passions and what you love. Thank you, CJ, for sharing earlier. I asked her what's great going on right now, and she on a daily basis has, with her VIP group, she is educating them on the different verticals. So she's sharing some posts of certain products, then she shares the products, her personal experience with those products. So she is engaging, and she's actually enrolling, because when you become an educator, you start to enroll people, whether it's a customer, distributor, or becoming a leader. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate yourself on empowering other people? And again, empowering other people is them seeing you in the doing, you being of influence. So whether you're doing great things or not so great things, but learning from them and growing from those things. That is the place of duplication. That's the only place you're going to be able to coach people to be able to reach for the stars. Because if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, that means you are an actual leader. So there's another element to leadership and learning is the art of recognition. Recognition is such a powerful element to everybody in this industry. And I believe this is why this industry flourishes, it grows, why people stay with it, or maybe why people don't stay with it. But people really appreciate recognition. And there's different ways of recognizing in this business, and it's just learning to get really good at it. I read the book 5 Love Languages. So if you haven't had the opportunity to read 5 Love Languages yet, put that on your book list as part of your learning. And if you have, I ask you to just reflect and review it as not just the relationships of your partner, because the 5 love languages is a relationship with your partner, but I believe now there's a book, the 5 love languages of working with other people. But I read the book at the time when it was just with your partner, but I immediately got how those 5 love languages I could utilize in my business. And so when you can learn to recognize the people around you, when you learn to appreciate what their love language is, whether it's words of affirmations, and there's different ways of giving words of affirmations. It could be by a written note or a card. It could be telling them face to face. It could be in a public forum in front of their peers, or it could be a one-on-one. So that's just a form. The other form is quality time. People may appreciate that one-on-one time with you, having a coffee with you, spending time doing something that's not business related. So recognizing that quality of time is actually can be part of recognition. Personal touch. Well, in our business, obviously that's, there's an area, a fine line on that, but what we talk about it in business is how you pat somebody on the back for doing a good job. Or when you greet them and you open them and give them that embraced hug from heart to heart, and which I learned from Manfred, by the way. And so I teach this now moving forward with my family. It's a powerful tool, and some people are very much that way for recognition. And there's acts of service, doing really nice little things for people. And so I'm not sure if I hit them all. Oh, and then receiving of gifts and giving of gifts. Sorry, that's the next one. We know in this business, we love receiving gifts. And so that's where incentives come into recognition. Longevity, we work on having incentives like, as part of our recognition, like the Rock the Socks and our team challenge and stuff like that. And people go crazy on winning a pair of socks or a t-shirt. But ask yourself that what you're doing in your business for incentives to support recognition within your tribe. Celebrating successes, okay? That's always a big one, is just being able to pay attention to celebrate successes, again, online, offline. But probably one that I've learned is to praise progress and reward results, not getting confused through the difference. And so again, we can always get better on recognition, and I liked being a little corny along things, on things that I could recognize on the gift giving, like bumblebees for someone being such a busy bee, a little green frog for taking a giant leap in their business, a key because it's, the key to success. A rock with words, words of wisdom, but the rock because they're the rock in the business, they're solid. Just little things like that goes a long way on how you can recognize. So again, ask yourself, what can you do to be better at recognition? So the roles, again, coming down to the roles that you have at events, when you personally hold an event, or when you even go to national convention or even attending a corporate event, you have a role to play as a leader, whether you're a distributor or a leader in works, is your role. And that is you to be an ambassador of longevity at all times. An ambassador that is positive. You have that radiance of enthusiasm and energy because of what this business does for you, what the products do for you. So believe it or not, when you have whatever you say or do, you're always being watched at all of these. And you're being watched because people are admiring you or want to know how you do what you do. So always be aware. But there's also another thing you have, and that's your presence. And your presence is an actual gift. And so I want you to be aware that even when you're in an elevator with someone else, do you know you can make that day, or you can influence that person? They may not be in your downline. They could be in the cross line or somewhere else on someone's line. But at the end of the day, you have the power to influence them by being interested in them and sharing great things and being positive. So I just really want you guys to see the role and responsibility that you have as being an ambassador of longevity. Even online on our Facebook post, even being aware that when we make a post, that what you actually see, what your statements may have, your statements that you actually, your comments, being aware of your comments also has influence. So I challenge you guys to constantly ask yourself what you're saying and what you're doing, and is this an action of influence that empowers other people? The next topic happens to be one that we really want to be great at, and it's called customer retention. It's customer retention, distributor retention, leadership retention, okay? They all have the same elements in it. But I think this is a really important one, because you could be really good at that new business, but you need to have that retention business, because we know that the big part of this business, the unlimited income of this business, happens to be growing our business not only wide, but most importantly deep. And that our customers become auto ship customers, so we have that residual income. So there's some key things on customer retention. Just think about what you do in your role. We give value because of the education we give. We offer evaluations like the health quiz and how to support people on better health. We educate people on the different aspects of our products and educate on the categories, educate them on, you know, better health or better wealth. So these are things that you actually give a value. So just know what you offer is a lot and helps in customer retention. You also encourage people to become students, because when you get your customer to become a student, where they start looking for Doc Wallach and Dr. Glidden, when they start wanting to educate, you know, they have family and friends that have, say, arthritis, where they actually start knowing where to look for information to educate and empower their own family and friends. When you got a customer doing that, or a distributor doing that, a distributor going and looking for how to become a better leader, or how to become a one-star, when they become a student, that's where your retention becomes even stronger, because that's where multiplication, duplication is going to come in. And the other thing that works really well with retention, again, comes down to your recognition. And the last thing, or not the last thing, but one of the other things that you offer is you are there to answer questions and answers. So you see, when someone buys a longevity product, they're not just buying that product. That's why they're not getting it at the chemist, they're getting it through you, because of the value that you give. And when you do this and you see how valuable you are, that's where your retention is going to come in with distributors as well as customers. So again, ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself, how can you be better in your customer retention and distributor retention? And what do you think you need to do to improve? Because as Jim Rohn would say, and this is probably the first master and mentor that I studied and I learned from him, is if you make a sale, you can make a living. But if you make an investment of time and good service in a customer, you can make a fortune. So I just want you to take that with you and think about that. So now we have something that I call advanced leadership. And this is where becoming a professional network marketing, being proud out loud with it, is where you can create the walk-away income that we do talk about. Now, we have a lot of people that do this as a hobby. We have a lot of people who do this just for their own personal use. And there's a lot of benefits to that. But for those of you that know it in your heart, and I know there are some of you on this call that want to go big time with this and truly want the residual income at the maximum amount of money that you can make. And so it's called the third level. And I want you guys to really think about this tonight when this is over and you go and review and reflect your day, and tomorrow when you go rehearse tomorrow, I want you to think about this third level. So what the third level is I want you to think about this as the first person you recruit, your personal recruit. That's your first level, right? A level 2 is when you've actually helped that recruit someone. But then your level 3 is when your recruit just naturally starts recruiting. If you can learn that skill and get your team and your business doing that, this is what the next step happens. And this is where we can talk about the walkaway income. So you can build a business and build a team vertical, meaning depth, or horizontal, going wide. And what our business has a tendency of, a horizontal business going wide, which is always awesome. We'll take them, we'll love them, but means it's a constantly having to continually look for new people, growing new people. You have less customer retention, distributor retention. Your time and resources are spread a lot more thinner. It actually creates a bit of unhealthy competition because you're always focused on the sale. And when you stop working, the money actually stops working for you. And that's where, when we talk about the third level, this is where your vertical business can be. Because when you have a vertical business of a business that has lots of depth, it creates synergy. You genuinely get to the leverage of duplication. You get the compounding efforts of people and the compounding income of it. But it also encourages teamwork and support when you work on the third level approach. And when one succeeds, everyone succeeds. And it truly becomes a paycheck of the heart. And that's why when you think of how can I be amazing at building a third level in my business, because what that third level will create, again, is this walkaway income. And true walkaway income in this business is when you have 5 generations of leaders. Now, we know we talk about becoming a 1-star. You need, becoming a 2-star, you need 3 level leaders. Okay, 1-star is about you becoming a leader, but 2-star is about you having 3 leaders. And then 3-star is about having 5 leaders. And at the end of the day, getting to a 5-star is having 9 leaders across. Well, that's great. That's our horizontal. But when you start getting leaders on 5 levels of generation, that's where we talk about the walkaway income, that even if you didn't do this business anymore, that you will consistently have business coming in. And that is where professional network marketing and longevity has the opportunity for you. Now, we know the products work. We know the programs work. And this is where I say time and time again, this is where you get to decide to work. Because true leaders don't create followers, they actually create more leaders. And so if I was to ask you to think about leaderships and who would you like to help become leaders, then you truly are being of service. And I come down to it again, if you have a pie and there's 4 parts to that pie, the 4 parts of you at your skill level, number 1 is the selling of the products. Again, we talk about selling as a being of service. Number 2 is the recruiting. Again, recruiting is, again, building of relationships. The 3rd part of that pie happens to be leadership development. A true master is not how many followers they have, is how many masters they've created. And then the 4th part of that pie comes to your personal development and personal growth. So I just want to finish off with sharing a quote from Jim Rohn. And he talks about that leadership is a challenge. Leadership is the challenge to be something more than average. Be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not a bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, but without folly. And so there is so much fantastic material out there that you can read, watch, and listen to between Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, and those that I've shared. But I'm going to finish off with, if there was a book that you could read that John Maxwell has, and it's called Failing Forward. A book that can make a difference in your life, and that I'd highly recommend of it. So I really appreciate everybody that's come on. I'm excited that we've done this 6 on here. And I have all the emails that you guys would have received already. If you've already received email from me, you'll know you'll get this. If you've never received an email from me and you're on this for the first time, please email me at dracy@youngevity.com. Just give me the next day. But what I have for you is all the links to all these PDFs, of all 6 of these PDFs, and you will also receive the links to every one of these recorded calls. And that is for you to take on, move forward, fail forward, and make your 100% better in wealth on this. So I want to really thank Manfred and Zavana for helping put this program together for me. It's been a delight. The biggest compliment you could actually give us is going out there and doing your own events on 100% better in wealth. As well as we have the 100% better in health category of the 6, which is on our YouTube channel. We have the PDFs and all that as well. If anybody is reaching out for that, to be a trainer, to be able to be an educator, we now have completed this 12-step series. So you could literally do this every week for the next 12 weeks, and you have the PowerPoints. All you have to do is yourself just keep doing it, get someone to do it with you. The more people you do it with you, the more excitement and your business is going to grow. Have the vision, share it with everybody, and become that person of influence and attraction. So I really want you guys to know I love you. I love what I do. I feel honored to do what I do. And my last words that I want to share with everybody, in light of everything that's going on with this pandemic and how everybody is viewing it and looking at it. Myself personally, I take the opportunity to be positive and to be prepared for whatever is out there. I'm not in panic mode myself personally. I have had to give up my trip to Bali for my 50th. So I'm having a staycation. But what we shared with Alex yesterday, and when we talked about what Alex shared, for those of you that weren't on the leadership call, we talked about we can't control the weather, we can't control the politics, we can't control what's going on around us, but what we can control is what we decide to do with it, how we can become responsive, not reactive. And so these are just a few things in my reflections. I've been reading, things out there that are not so positive, and I'm looking for the things that are positive in there, and I have found some things that have made my heart, skip a beat or two. But here's some of the things that I wanted to share with you. There's 6 things on the things that I think that I'm going to take as positives in what's happening right now. An opportunity to really connect with the closest people to me that I'm staying close with. It's also an opportunity to look after myself a lot better than ever before. And everyone out there is looking for how they can look after themselves a lot better. And that is an opportunity to us all. Getting back to basics of what really matters, what our needs are and what our wants are, and really coming back to that. And the other one is giving Mother Earth a break. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I read an article on the shutdown of China. And so they were the first to shut everything down, and flights and people and staying home, and however they've managed that. NASA had a satellite image. And in 6 days, that satellite image of what life was like in China with pollution and flights and everything, and how Mother Earth had the healing process of 6 days after that. So with what's going on right now globally, maybe it's giving Mother Earth a little bit of a break. But the nice thing that we're learning from it is not only do our bodies, but Mother Earth has an incredible ability to heal itself. So this is an opportunity to take time to help people that are in need. So work out for yourself what you can do to be of help, be of service at the levels that you are capable of. And so that's my bit for tonight. And I just want to have the opportunity to thank everybody. And so I'm going to stop the recording, but I will be open to any questions that you might have.